First one off script tonight, we've got breaking news. Charges will not be filed against the D.C. police officer who shot and killed an unarmed man almost a year ago. The U.S. Attorney's Office made the announcement today, saying there was insufficient evidence after conducting several interviews and reviewing photos and videos from the scene. Now, that's worth noting because the police officers are being faulted for not turning on his body camera until after the shooting. Terrence Sterling was shot and killed in the early morning hours, September 11, 2016. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, two officers pursued Sterling after he sped and ran a red light. There was a scuffle near 3rd and M Streets in Northwest. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Officer Brian Traynor shot Sterling twice after he drove into the police cruiser. Sterling did not have a weapon on him. The Attorney's Office says his blood alcohol content was 0.16, twice the legal limit. He also tested positive for THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. Now, in a statement, the U.S. Attorney's Office writes, federal prosecutors have found insufficient evidence to charge the officer. The statement says the evidence reviewed by the U.S. Attorney backs up the police department's story that Officer Traynor was trying to get out of the police cruiser when Sterling rammed the door of it, and the officer then shot Sterling twice. D.C. Police released a statement today saying its Internal Affairs Bureau will begin a review surrounding the death of Terrence Sterling. Officer Traynor will remain on administrative leave during this review, which could take up to 90 days. We want to know what you think. Do you support the decision by the U.S. Attorney's Office to not charge the officer in this case? You can vote right now, the WUSA 9 app, or on WUSA9.com/vote. Joining us tonight, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. Madam Mayor, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You've released a statement, but police and the community, they want to hear from you now, your reaction to all this.
No, absolutely. So certainly we want to again extend our condolences, I do, to the family of Terrence Sterling. I had the opportunity to speak with them shortly after the shooting, and I let them know that we would support a transparent investigation into what happens. The federal prosecutors released their decision today. You read what they found, and now it is up to us. It's been now that their investigation is over, it comes over to MPD for the administrative disciplinary review.
Mm-hmm. And what do you want to happen to this officer? What do you think should happen?
This is my view, that the most fundamental responsibility I have is public safety in the District of Columbia. And we have built over many, many years of working hard and working with communities, trust with them. And they expect accountability. So what we know is that we had a situation where it was basically a traffic incident that led to a young man's death. And we believe there has to be accountability. The U.S. Attorney has said there's no criminal accountability, but we know our rules were broken. At least one that's very important. We said to the community, we're going to invest $5 million in body-worn cameras. So if there is ever an incident like this, it may shed light on exactly what happened. That didn't happen in this incident because the officer didn't turn on his body-worn camera. So we don't have the benefit of that footage. But I believe to continue to build trust with our community that the officer should resign. And as MPD goes into this investigation, because the officer has certain procedures he can avail himself upon, and that's what they're reviewing now, but he can also resign at this point.
This was a situation that called for the body camera. Body camera would have given us the information that we needed to resolve this.
Perhaps. What we've seen with a lot of body camera footage, it doesn't always tell the whole story, but it could have shed light on what exactly happened.
Help us understand, when are they supposed to have these body cameras on? They should turn at the beginning of the chase? When? Absolutely.
So they are, and even when we first got them, they were informed that when you are engaging with a citizen, you should turn on your body camera. Since then, since this incident, Bruce, I ordered, and it's part of MPD procedures now, that our dispatcher at the 911 call center, when dispatching a call to an officer, is confirming with the officer that he or she has turned the body camera on.
That's a result of this incident
that followed this incident.
Okay, you say you've spoken to the family. We spoke to the family too. They haven't said a lot to the media. They did talk to Ardelia Gonzalez a while back. I want you to listen along with our viewers to what the family had to say to us before.
One of the hardest things I ever did in my life was to sit down and have to plan a funeral for a son that was 31 years old. We sat down as a family, had a dinner a week before my son died, having a good time, laughing and talking about how things were going for us and what we're going to do, what my daughter and my son were going to do in their future lives, and being able to laugh and rally around each other and have a good time. The next week, he was gone, and we still don't have any answers as to what really happened with him.
Yeah, you missed a very top of that. He was saying that he had a good son and that they had a gathering and that sort of thing, and obviously he misses his son, and he hasn't had an explanation for what happened.
Yes.
And what led to that shooting. What would you say to the family tonight, knowing what we know, what the U.S. Attorney has decided?
Well, I do know that every family would, in this situation, would want answers to why a loved one is gone. And we won't be able to turn the clock back, Bruce. I wish we could, but we can commit to making sure that something like this doesn't happen. And so part of MPD's review will be, are there different training procedures that need to be put in place, tactical issues that officers need to be refreshed on, anything of the like, so that next time an officer is in this situation, they'll be better able to respond.
You know, one of the things I was saying to you, a suggestion you know, we were talking earlier, is that you've got to talk to two different groups here. You're a commander-in-chief. You have to talk to the police department. What do you say to Metropolitan Police officers out there on the streets tonight as a result of this?
Well, that's what we do every day, because the job that the police have to do, they can't do without the community. And the community needs the police too, to make sure that we have safe neighborhoods and people can live a great life here. So what I say to my officers is they always have my support. We give them the resources they need. We give them the training that they need. We put body cameras on them so that we would have evidence when they were in these situations to help us shed light on an unfortunate situation that may happen when they're working. So they should know that we give them what they need, the resources and training that they need, but we also, just like we hold citizens accountable, we're accountable too.
And then what do you say to the citizens? Because a lot of them are going to look at this and they're going to say, here we go again. Every time an officer says, I feel as though my life was in jeopardy, whether it be a jury, a single judge, or U.S. attorney, that officer is going to be allowed to walk. And they think that's not fair, and they will point to this as that kind of case.
Well, the biggest thing I can tell our residents is that we've had a transparent investigation, and that the police have given all the information they have, and we understand that the U.S. attorney has, they've spent a long time investigating this. And so they have come to that determination that they didn't have evidence to suggest that a crime was committed. But I will also tell them this, because frequently people will look at me and say, well, Mayor, why didn't you change this? And the fact of the matter is, this is part of our special circumstance as the District of Columbia. That prosecutor is not accountable to the voters in the District of Columbia.
Yeah, it's appointed by the president. And the president has just put his person in there. Okay, we know that it's part of being federal territory. The District
right, but we can change that, and we're working on it.
All right, Madam Mayor, thanks for coming in. I really appreciate
your
time. Okay, all right. Our coverage continues tonight. We're not through with this. A protest is scheduled tonight at 3rd and M, where the shooting happened last year. And we'll continue to bring you all sides and reactions on this case, as well as tell you more about Terrence Sterling. Who was he? What was he about? Stay with us tonight on WUSA9.com and at WUSA 9 News at 11.